Let's review the life cycle of a flowering plant. Remember, a cycle is a sequence of events that repeats itself over and over again. A life cycle includes the stages of a living thing's life, from seed to adult. Here is a picture of a seed. Here is a picture of the seed sprouting and germination happening. Now we can see the very small plant called a seedling coming up above the ground. Here is the adult flower. In this case, it's a fully formed sunflower. And this picture shows seed dispersal. That's how new seeds get into the ground and begin to grow. When the flower dies, the seeds fall off and fall into the ground to be picked up by birds or just to stay right where they are. If we look at the chart that we made before about the northern seasons and we look at the section called plants, we can be reminded about how trees are affected by the seasons. In the spring, trees grow new leaves. In the summer, trees grow as they absorb more sunlight. In the fall, leaves change color and begin to fall. And in winter, no leaves live off the energy in the roots. Today we're going to learn about a tree's life cycle. There are certain things on Earth that make life possible. We need water to live, just as we need the air that we breathe. Have you ever thought about where the air that you breathe comes from? The air that you breathe is dependent on or supported by the existence of trees. Without trees, it would be almost impossible for humans to survive on Earth. There are thousands of different kinds of trees in the world. There are towering sequoia trees and tiny dwarf willows. There are noble oak trees and scented pines. They all help to make life possible on this planet. Trees provide us with many things and perform tasks that you might not even be aware of. For example, trees provide us with oxygen to breathe. Trees also take in carbon dioxide through their leaves. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas, meaning that if too much of it builds up in Earth's atmosphere, our planet will heat up. Therefore, trees help to manage Earth's climate and keep it livable for us. Tree roots help to fight soil erosion and flooding by holding the soil together and absorbing water from the soil. That means tree roots help hold the soil and ground in place. Finally, we use trees or the wood that comes from trees all over the world for all kinds of things. Can you think of 3 things that the wood from trees is used for? Well, I know that we can make furniture with wood. We can burn wood in a fire. We can create art with wood. There's lots of things that we can do with wood. Let's review the different parts of a tree. Do you remember what the main stem of a tree is called? The main stem of a tree is called the trunk. All the branches of the tree grow out of the trunk. The leaves grow on the branches. The roots hold the tree in the ground. They not only hold the tree in the ground, they help to feed the tree. Roots absorb water and nutrients from the ground. Absorb means to take in, just like a sponge absorbs water. The water and nutrients travel up from the roots through the trunk and into the branches. Do you know why leaves are such an important part of a tree? Leaves are important because they enable the tree to produce food. Tree leaves produce food through photosynthesis, just like the leaves of flowering plants. Another important part of the tree is the outside layer called the bark. The bark protects the tree from outside forces such as heat, cold, insects, and bacteria. Bacteria are very small living things that often cause disease. Let's continue to learn about the life cycle of a tree. Trees follow the same life cycle as other plants. Just like that of a flower, a tree's life cycle begins with a seed. Tree seeds can be as large as tennis balls or as tiny as freckles. They come in various shapes and sizes too. They can be flat, smooth, bumpy, long, or thin. Tree seeds have three main parts. They are the embryo or egg, the stored food inside the egg, which enables the seed to grow and change, and the seed coat, which eventually falls off. Most seeds are carried away from the parent tree that produced them. Do you remember how seeds are dispersed or spread apart? They are dispersed in various ways. They are carried by animals, people, wind, and water. Wherever they land, they rest in the soil until germination begins. Germination is when a seed begins to grow or sprout. Certain conditions are required for germination to happen. We have learned that in the temperate parts of the world, the seasons affect the life cycle of living things, especially plants. Therefore, when there is enough warmth and direct sunlight, as well as water from rain, the seed splits open and germination begins. This usually occurs in spring when there is sufficient warmth and rain. Once germination begins, the seed produces roots that search for groundwater. The word groundwater is a compound word made of the word ground and the word water. What do you think it means? Water that is in the ground. As they find water, the roots hold fast in the ground and a stem grows up towards the sunlight. Tiny seeds leaves open and use the sun and water to make food. The seed has become a seedling or young plant. Seedlings need just the right amount of water, warmth, and sunshine to grow. With the right conditions, seedlings develop into young trees with roots, a trunk, branches, and leaves. Young trees are called saplings. Tree saplings are much smaller than mature trees or adult trees. Usually, trees are called saplings when they are between 3 and 15 years of age. A tree's sapling's bark is smooth and its trunk is flexible, meaning it can bend more easily than a mature tree can. When something is flexible, it means it can bend or move quite easily. Once a tree is considered mature, it may flower and produce fruits, nuts, or cones. Some trees simply produce seeds. There are two types of trees, deciduous and evergreen. Deciduous trees shed their leaves. Deciduous trees tend to have wide, flat leaves, whereas evergreen tree leaves tend to be narrow and thin like needles. During the cold winter months, deciduous trees shed their leaves and become inactive for the winter, much like hibernating animals do during the winter time. In fact, this is what keeps them alive during the coldest part of the year. To prepare for this time of rest, deciduous trees stop using their leaves to make food, and instead they shed these leaves. Then, during the cold winter months, they save their energy until spring returns. In the spring, they will use their energy to produce new leaves. Evergreen trees, on the other hand, shed and reproduce their leaves throughout the year, so there are green leaves on evergreen trees all year long. The cones of evergreen trees are its flowers. Unlike deciduous trees, evergreen trees do not shed all of their leaves at the end of fall. Instead, they use their leaves to make food all winter. How long does it take for a tree to grow to its full size? Well, this depends on a number of things. Different kinds of trees grow at different speeds. In tropical parts of the world, where there is constant, intense sunshine and rainfall, a tree can reach maturity or become an adult in 30 years. In colder regions of the world, it can take 100 years or more. The length of a tree's life depends on many things. It will always depend on the tree having enough sunshine and water, but other factors can affect its growth and lifespan too. the condition of the soil in which the tree is growing, and diseases such as insect infestations and bacteria can alter the natural lifespan of a tree. An infestation occurs when a large number of something harmful enters an area. Accidents such as fires and natural disasters such as hurricanes and floods can have an effect too. Also, people cut trees down so that they can be used to make a variety of products. When a tree lives for a long time and then dies, it is not totally at the end of its journey. Decomposers like earthworms, bacteria, and fungi take over the dead tree. Fungi are living things such as mold, mushrooms, and yeast that live on dead or decaying things. Through the decomposition process, they help to slowly break down the tree into a rich nutrient that feeds the soil enables new tree seeds to grow. And there you have it, the life cycle of a tree. Here are the 3 questions I'd like you to answer in your notebook. Number 1, why are trees important to life on Earth? Number 2, what is the difference between deciduous trees and evergreen trees? And number 3, would it be easier for you to observe the complete life cycle of a sunflower plant or a tree? Why? When you're done, take a picture and show it to me on Class Dojo. At the beginning of this lesson, I shared with you a spelling list. It was actually in your packet. If you have this sheet and it's 1.3, page 5, go ahead and take it out. If you don't, because you may have turned it in with the rest of your packet that you completed, then here's just a picture of it. These are our spelling words that you had. And we're going to be looking at these words today. Here's the list. I want you to look at these words, and then we're going to take a spelling test. Now, when you take the spelling test, I ask that you obviously not look at the words as you spell them. Do the best that you can. You can have all day today to practice spelling the words, and then at some point, put the words away. And then you're going to take out the page 5.1 from your packet that says spelling test. And I would like you to go ahead and take that test. I'm going to go ahead and say the words in a minute, and that will allow you to take the test. So when you're ready, after you've studied your words, and these are words that end in ED, let's look at them. Yelled, yanked, slumped, limped, plopped, smiled, shrugged, liked, patted. Once you have studied these words, then I'm going to go ahead and say the words for you so you can come back to the video and watch or listen as I say the words. I'll say a sentence for the last thing, and then I'll put the correct spellings, or you can come back to this list so that you can check your work. And then I'd like you to send me a picture of your spelling test. So please take your test with one color, a pen, a pencil, a marker, whatever, a crayon, and then correct it with another color, just like we used to do when we were at school. Thanks. All right, now that you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and say the words. I'll say the word, use a sentence, say the word again, just like I did when we were at school. So, once you have your paper out, here's the paper. Go ahead and find it. It says 5.1 spelling test. Number 1. Yelled. I yelled at the dog who was approaching my kids. Yelled. Number 2. Yanked. I yanked on the cord of my computer to unplug it from the wall. Yanked. Number 3, slumped. I slumped over on the couch after I came home from a long walk. Slumped. Number 4, limped. I limped home after hitting my toe on a rock. Limped. Number 5, plopped. I plopped down on the chair to sit and relax. Plopped. Number 6, smiled. I smiled at my neighbor. Smiled. Number 7, shrugged. I shrugged my shoulders up when I didn't know the answer. Shrugged. Number 8, liked. I liked it when you turned in your work. Liked. Number 9, patted. I patted my dog on the head. Patted. And number 10, this was one of the tricky words, I think you'll do great, was the word you. So the word is you. I miss you. You. Now, at the bottom of this page where you see the person and it looks like he's talking, I'm going to read you a sentence and I would like you to copy that sentence down. So write down what I say. His dad smiled. His dad smiled. Okay. Second graders, that is your spelling test for today. If you missed any words, go back and rewatch the video where I am saying the words. Continue. Remember that when you're correcting your work, to leave the original one there too, and you just learn from any mistakes that you made. And when I look at it, I'll be able to see where you went wrong. So don't erase it or feel bad if you got something wrong. Just fix it and go, oh, that's how I spell the word. That's okay. And then the sentence that you had to rewrite or write from what I said, just remember, think about how you write a sentence. Okay? All right. I look forward to seeing these spelling tests. Take a picture, send it to me on Class Dojo. Sorry, I almost forgot. Here are the words in the order that I said them so that you can check your spellings. Also, at the bottom of the picture, you can see where it says, his dad smiled. It's at the very bottom. I went ahead and put an arrow where the sentence is so you know exactly where it is. So there's the sentence, his dad smiled. Go ahead and correct.